We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such. I know y'all tired of it, but we got a new season of The Past. Welcome to season 8, the Mamba Year. Podcast available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of your podcast platforms. Here you'll get a dose of content related to tech, the productivity world, and most importantly, how to be a better you. The theme for this year, personally, is receiving grace. And we definitely want to do better with receiving it and being open to being a better us from who we were a year ago. So this is season 8 of The Past, and I hope you all enjoy.
We didn't get our best effort with doing this walkcast yesterday, so we're gonna try it again today. See how it goes. Hopefully it turns out better. Maybe I actually needed my little sound effect intro to let y'all know, hey, we're back at it again. So what's good? Wednesday vibes, Wednesday peace, Wednesday love to all of you. And yeah, the story that was left unfinished. We're gonna come back to it this morning, and that is the age-old question of when is the last time you truly not just loved yourself, but loved on yourself? A lot of us don't know how to truly love on ourselves the way we need to. Double checking this to make sure we're recording, because yesterday I was trying to do this and it would get to like 8 seconds and then say, hey, we're done. And I'm like, wait, just get it. So, um, last time you loved on yourself or truly embraced your love for what it's worth. Um, this is a open dialogue for you to reflect and think about some things with yourself and really gather and reel in how to become a better you for the sake of yourself, not just for others, but predominantly for yourself. I always, from time to time, love to give a story time. And it worked out because I'm glad I was able to do what I ended up doing yesterday. Uh, I attended a design meetup, and yesterday's design meetup was a little more eye-opening than usual. Um, Tough being a designer when you're not designing, and in the process of that, I share with one of my friends who I call my sis, like, hey, I really ain't been designing, really ain't been there with it. I don't know what's going on. And she was like, you're not gonna like my answer, but you gotta give yourself grace. And we, at times, we don't like hearing that type of an answer, but it's also 100% the truth. Uh, we have to stop for a minute and really be appreciative that we're at least trying, or at least giving effort in some simpler, more stress-free manner. Um, I'm not. I guess I'm only asking the question in an open-ended manner. Not really gonna speak. I mean, my last time of really loving myself it's been a while. I think it's and it may or may not seem like it, But sometimes it's that simple thing that you would not expect to do, and in doing it, you're like, dang, this is what love feels like, or this is what it feels like to truly love on yourself. And let's see, it's July. I would say that would have been either February or March, whenever it was that I went to um, when I went to North Carolina. And the only reason I say that is because not only did I, and I mean, if I give an honorable mention, I would say when we had, uh, I call it guys' night, but it was any any moment or any opportunity that consists of a larger amount of tech rest than normal is my definition of loving on myself. So I'm going to explain three, I could throw four recent incidents because a lot of it, it's like my initial push was back to Mark to the North Carolina trip. But then after I thought about it, I'm like, hold on. I done hung out with my boy, with two of my male friends, and we like on separate occasions, and it was so therapeutic. It was so like a place of peace. It was a place of like, dang. And it ain't even like on some fifth grade stuff like, oh my gosh, I don't want this to end. But on the opposite side of it, it's like I don't get these moments, these opportunities, not necessarily from an unplugging standpoint, but more from a it's it's a lot without being a lot type scenario. Um, so if to answer that question now, I'm thinking about it. I would probably say a few weeks ago, and it's only because I was not as gun ho to have my phone. I wasn't as gun ho to make a scene. It was just an opportunity to really relax and just live. And at times we need that. And it's not like you and I like to add incentive behind it, it's also, you know, when you're hanging out and folks want to check in, but your focus you're learning and you're realizing the better option is to focus on you. Take care of your body, take care of your well being. And a lot of times I've accepted it. A lot of people don't like it, which I don't understand why, but it's the choice that I have, or the choice that I've kind of committed to. Um, everyone, and it's so weird because a lot of times folks will take care of themselves. They're gonna look out for them like nobody's business. But when others are not in that same ilk of looking out for them, then it's like, well, you don't have opportunity, you don't have time to do. And the reality is, I got plenty of time to do whatever, but I can't sit down here and run rampant, although I'm neglecting like how to get myself into a better position. And lately, even I mean, for real, I can almost say loving myself is doing these walks. Like anyone that knows me, and I think I bring this up almost every time I've done a walk cast or just had an opportunity to. I literally am not a big time to myself reflective person. Nothing wrong. It's not a it's not anything chaotic. It's just not a it's not the thought that I have or the thought that I'm thinking of in its entirety. Um, So that would be my immediate answer. But I really want you to think about like when is the last time you've loved on yourself or really said like I'm proud of me. I'm really glad to be here. So many times we appreciate others, but are we appreciating ourselves? So that's what I want you to think about when you listen to this show. Now I say this all the time. I promise you, if I had my way and was quick enough with doing it easily, go right to the house, open up, um, open up the program, throw the show online, boom, y'all got content. But sometimes I've learned that pocketing and backing shows has been like a new go-to, and it's funny because on TikTok, I literally shared a video related to this because many people constantly will say, or and I say many people, but a few folks that I've had conversations with are always curious and interested in podcasting, and they don't want to spend any money or don't want to do a lot, and don't, I don't have any problems with that. But if you're investing in it, then it's a little different. So you move different when you realize that. Um, but I was mentioning it earlier, and I kind of talked about it. There was a virtual masterclass that I signed up for. Masterclasses are always interesting because you will see a very well known influencer get people together, get them in one space, give you all this information, throw you a freebie, and provide you with some content, some context, and then at the end, what you understand it being such, there's this high end purchase of something. And his program, the cost wasn't bad, but that ain't the type of money I got sitting around right now, especially with everything I'm trying to work through and handle personally. Um, so I've been keeping up with kept up with his stuff, and like the video, the present, not even a video because it was live. The live stream they did was actually very helpful. Like it was parts of it that I kind of tuned out only because trying to be available to family, to friends, to myself. Um, I wasn't 100% pulled into it, but I share that because now, even with me, and it's so funny because you have folks that will share different things that are resourceful and powerful, but then you think of it yourself and you look at it, you're like, I'm doing this already. I've been doing a podcast over 8 years. I've been doing written communication over 20 years because I don't I don't personally believe it's my personal take. I don't believe blogs are going anywhere. Blogs will be around for a while, but they'll be around for the wrong reasons. And what I mean by that is people are consumed and invested in blogs because of the fact that they're blogs. And in some instances, a lot of folks who want their drama, their tea, they'll go to said dramatic places and get that form of information. And I think it's cool. Again, I think it's great because for a lot of folks, if you're a person who does not have that type of time to sit and watch all these different stories and all these different tabloids they happen, it's a great avenue. I've tapped in with it on a totally different level. Um, I, I I think it's it's finding the ways to correlate or get everything to kind of be in unison. It can be a little, at times it can be a little challenging. So yeah, trying to work through that. It can working through that alone can be a lot without being a lot, and I'm learning that over time. So that's one that's key to think about. And it's funny because in his in the live stream that he did, he showed different examples of people who do public speaking or have done various types of talking. And when I watched the video and as it was going, it reminded me of another program or another business. I won't mention the name because again, I'm not I'm not owned sponsored by nobody, so I don't want to put anything on blast and get have it happen to be heard. But they're very big on how you speak, how your delivery is. Are you presenting the punchline? Are you keeping people's attention? So it's businesses and it's companies out there who are doing the same thing. And it was funny because even when I went to the designers meetup, which was only two of us, it was me and the host, um, she was talking to me about, there's like a membership for being in that group. And I said no, but I think deep down there is because of how much involvement there is with it. And I could be 100% wrong, but just one of those things that I noticed. So that's how I'm looking at that. Um, the design part, I have a challenge I got to set for myself because I've realized that there's there's a double-edged sword that I've been holding. Of I've been able to sit down and I've been able to log whatever it is that I've been doing for the day, and that's cool. But now the next step or the next layer is to start like actually writing tasks down. And I found a streamer, couldn't have been but a couple of days ago, that she made mention of the she found the um the pen and gear spiral pocket notebook, a pocket, yeah, pocket notebook. And myself, I think it was like literally probably over a year ago, there was a 3-pack, which they still sell them. It's like if you go into any Walmart, we'll talk about them because that's not like anything drastic, but in most Walmarts, there's a 3-pack of these little, really small yet convenient notebooks that are they're a good enough size to write in, but they're also a good enough size to kind of like pull out, jot a quick note down, and keep it moving. I would call it an inexpensive version of the bullet journal notebook that's that just recently got published. Because I've had mine for a few months now, and I don't use them the way I would like to. However, have it available, I always carry it with me because it's just there. Because they designed the bullet journal notebook with the intent of when you open it and sit it like opposite from how you would if you were reading a book. So in its vertical format, then it looks like a page of a bullet journal. But I don't want to be redundant and post and writing whatever it is that I put in that notebook over to the other notebook. So I'd rather just have separate books. I mean, have a book that's just a primarily a bullet journal. Um, But yeah, with the pocket notebooks, like I said, it's a 3 pack. I think the ones that I got were like black, red, and white. I'm sorry, black, red, and blue, and they were $1. And it's surprising because you don't you don't need anything extravagant to do whatever it is that simple slash mundane thing is that quote unquote you're avoiding. But in the young lady's video, she shared how you should. Um, how did she break it down? She was like, if you're wanting to get a hold or get a handle on your daily activities, you got to take it back old school. And what old school looks like is you take a notebook, you write the date, and you write down the things you need to do that day. And as you finish them, you either mark them off or you check it off, whatever how you want to do it. And sometimes simple is too simple, but simple is helpful because it gets the job done at the end of the day, which is obviously that's what we're looking for because you're not just doing it just to be doing it. You're doing it because you know it can help you get into a better position mentally, professionally, physically, things of that nature. So I had a similar book already. I call it I call it a low grade moleskin, but it's still a good notebook. It's a Walmart brand. I keep wanting to call it Excess, but I forget the name of it. But they sell multiple styles of these notebooks. Like they sell the pocket version. They sell ones that are like your traditional bullet journal. They have them that look like a journal. Whatever you're looking for, they have that model of that style. And I got two of the smaller notebooks, and I keep them in my. One of them I frequently use. Like that's like I've literally put stickers on it, and it's kind of like a personal staple as a reminder. Like, hey, bring this notebook with you. You might need it. If you don't like, smaller notebooks are convenient for those of you who want to take notes, but don't think you're going to be taking a lot of notes, but need something to kind of jot something down. Your traditional notebook is you're going to sit somewhere, you're going to get some information, and you want to be noting as you go. I've realized over time that I'm a great note taker, but I don't take notes as much as I should. So I'm working harder on that to get more thoughts out of my head. Like I've not shared personally what's going on, and those reasons. There's respect, there's understanding, there's more than anything consideration. But I'm bringing that up only because I would rather write it out than talk it out. And when I say talk it out, I mean use this platform. And it can be an adjustment to say the least. One thing I will say today, and I think from watching that video, it's helped. A word that I frequently use, I've avoided, and I'm not going to say what the word is, but if you've been listening to enough of my walkcasts, you know what I'm talking about. So I'll let you use your imagination with that. But yes, finding your ways to love on you. I know I've gone like over 20 minutes and two stepped a little bit away from that, but I want you to personally, one, as hard as it is to do, stop for a minute wherever you're listening to this. If you're driving, pull over. If you're walking, or if you're in a state if you're out with friends, if you're out with friends listening to the podcast, kudos to you. But hopefully you're in a calming space to hear what I'm sharing. And if you are, I want you to turn the TV off for a couple seconds, and I want you to take a moment. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to say anything. I don't know, you don't need to do any mantras or meditation or anything, but I want you to think about the last time you loved yourself. I want you to envision what that last time of feeling felt like. And what I'm going to challenge you to do is, while you're thinking about that, think of all of the instances and occurrences that led up to that moment. How did it feel? How did others around you feel when you loved yourself? Were there other people around? Was it just a you moment? Did you unpack? And when I say unpack, I mean genuinely unpack with yourself about how you felt. Now I want you to open your eyes. And now I want you to, now that you've seen and visualized what that feeling was, I want you to think about personally how to recreate that feeling for yourself. Now, everyone has heard me talk about this enough times on the show. Moments only happen once. And I know a lot of people get mad when you say that, but it's true. A moment can only happen one time. Now, let me be clear on what I'm saying about this, because I always like to give my disclaimers by default. If you meet someone at a restaurant and it's your first date, if you go back to that restaurant 5 years later, you could be sitting there in the same seats at the same venue at the same time. But that moment is going to be different from your first moment when you met that person. So they're two separate moments. I want to be clear on that. I want to be very open minded and openly aware in sharing that information, because that can get lost in translation so fast. Um, but yeah, as I mentioned, take the time and really give yourself the opportunity to be loved, to feel love, to embrace love, to not fight love. I think a lot of times we fight it. And shoot, I can almost say my last loving me moment was gym. Like my last gym session, I go to a private holistic gym. So I say that I use that term with that reference only because I'm not a traditional Planet Fitness, Crunch, AmFam, etc. I go to a very personal guided gym space, and it's probably been the best option for me in just getting back to what works, how to get the body back moving, how to get the mind to do things that I enjoy. Like a couple weeks ago, my trainer and I went out and played basketball. I, in a million years, I've always been talking about it, like, yeah, man, I'm ready to get back on the court, ready to get some shots up. But it's different when you actually are out there. Same with designing. Saying you're a designer, the dance is different when you are actually sitting there with a pen and paper designing. I've been back and forth about this too. If it's time for me to change what I'm doing and being a technical writer, or not even technical writing, but just really put more time into writing. Because let's face it, I'm one of the few people, and I've only done this, I can count on one hand the amount of times that can wake up, know that I have a newsletter that I need to put out at 9 o'clock, get up at like 5 or 6, BS for a couple minutes, and somehow can go and write out an entire newsletter. And when I say write it out, I mean paragraphs, spelling, editing, the whole nine. And I don't like being that way. Usually, typically, it's okay. Saturday's my day to kind of Saturday. Usually, and I say usually with very large quotes, is usually the day that I tech rest. However, tech rest is hard when you do a podcast, write a blog, are learning different things on, say, a Udemy course, watching videos. There's little to no tech rest involved, but to be specific and to be kinder to myself, the tech rest that I'm factoring in applies to um, not being glued to the phone. And that was something that he also talked about on his masterclass yesterday. Was if you people, whether they admit it or not, are in a consumption content. I call it content consumption overload. We've all been there. We're trying to get as much information as we can from other people. The question then becomes: are the people who are giving the information giving out not just good information, but resourceful information? Because people want information that's resourceful. Like there are a lot of YouTube channels that I've been pulled into because the content was worth consuming. Case in point, a year ago, you couldn't pay me to listen to Mel Robbins. I didn't really know much about her, really won't pull in back what she was sharing, didn't care for her. And it wasn't a her thing, it just didn't hit my radar. But then something happened. And then there were other things that made me look at it and realize I've been listening to her stuff before. I just didn't listen to it to this extreme. So a couple years back, I think it was actually 2 years ago, and it was well, we'll say three because it was like 20. I want to say it was 2021 because I know it was a year we went to BlurCon, and we were my, my friends and I, we were all getting ready to like head out, and I had a quick moment to kind of watch some vids. So I'm watching videos, getting some information, and a video comes up from Mel Robbins. To this day, I still have that video liked in my feed on YouTube, and I looked at it, and it basically talked about how you got to go after that thing. You got to want to go after whatever it is that you're trying to do. So I heard about her then, but again, didn't know much of her content to that extreme. And then she went and started her podcast. And she did a podcast. They were, for lack of a better term, they were back to back, but there was a little bit of a gap between them, but still they were there to check out or to enjoy. And they were about having a better morning routine, having a better evening routine. And anyone who's listened to the show enough times knows I'm all for a routine. My morning routine lately has been get up in the morning, go out, go move, keep the body in flow, right? It's been, I've personally, and again, I'm not expecting everyone else to be this way. I'm an elite member of the 5 a.m. club. So 5 a.m., even if I don't feel like it, I'm getting up. I don't do, like many people, again, it's personal choice. Many people will put on, will hit the snooze button. I'm a one-time guy. When I have my Bagley clock, well, I still have my Bagley clock. I don't use it, but when I was using the Bagley clock, it was one ring and we're good. Then I upgraded. I upgraded by downgrade by buying this like really little inexpensive clock. But it's one of, if not the best sounding alarms to wake me up. And I don't regret it because it does exactly what I need to do. It goes off. Now, what I may need to start doing, because I have not done this, is sitting in what I'm calling, I guess it's kind of being dined unintentionally, the clock corner. Because the newest clock that I bought, which I love, is in this corner. My Belgian clock that I don't use sits in this corner. And this clock that I'm beginning to use more often sits in this area. But what happens is where it currently sits, it's very close. So it's like I can get up, lean over, turn it off, and I'm laying right back down. Which any of you who know, that's a recipe for disaster of not getting anything going. Um, Case in point, and I asked her, and hopefully she'll be up for it. But Sunday, I met with my sister, and we caught up and talked and unpacked and had some life talkings about different things. Good morning, uh, and yeah, it's been good to like just value people. Like that 3.5 mile walk, again, me being who I was, would not be able to do it now. Like my space before, I wouldn't have been able to do it like I needed to back at that time. But now I can do a good little walk and I'm good. Like when I go Saturday, I think this Saturday we're sticking at 3.5. So for the 3.5, I can do that walk in like 14 laps around it. And I think about it. There may be some runs, there may be some pacings, but for the most part, I can get it done. And again, it's just about progress. And it's about loving on yourself and it's about caring for yourself and nurturing your well being, whatever way that looks like. In a healthy way. Let me emphasize the healthy way because if I don't, I won't hear the end of it. But truly take the time to be aware of where you are with things. Like yesterday, two people checked on me yesterday. And a lot of people checked on me. Let me be clear. I don't want to say just those two people, but two people had sent me, like one was a group message. It's me, her, and another friend of ours. We were all in a group message, and she reached out, and I was like, you don't understand how much I needed to hear, like just a hey or, you know, hopefully you getting through type of convo. And then another friend of mine, she had sent me a post online that really just like brought it all home. I'm not like, you really don't understand how much I needed this today. Uh, so sometimes people are gonna meet you where you are, and it will surprise you, but you will cherish it 100% in them doing so because you know their intentions are pure. So my closing remarks, say it multiple times: love on yourself, be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, and don't ignore where your well-being is. If you feel good, acknowledge the good feeling. If you feel like trash, hey, I feel like trash today. But don't fool yourself or don't fool others for the sake of. It's just not worth it, and you'll you'll appreciate it in the long run. That's all I got for y'all today, and we'll be back doing our regular show on Saturday. Y'all have a good one.
Truly hope you all enjoyed the show. Definitely was a lot to unpack, but I know you'll walk away with something important. As I share at the end of each season, do find your way to get into podcasting if it's something you would like to do. My podcasts are currently recorded via Buzzsprout. Been very good to me. If you want to learn more about using them, definitely hit me up at thepastbtpod@gmail.com. And also the microphone that you're hearing me on is the Blue Yeti X. Have been rolling with it for over 3 years. We've been doing this ride for quite some time, so I hope someone could find this mic useful. Again, find those people who are good or helpful in what you're trying to do to be better today than you were yesterday. The primary goal is to be 1% better. Hope you all have an amazing day, and we'll be back again to do this next time.